Between Nwaneri and Skelly, who is more talented? And I think to answer this question, it's key to figure out kind of what does that mean, right? Like what is more talented? Does that mean they have better technique? Does that mean they have a higher ceiling? Does it mean you're asking me who I think will have a better senior career? I mean, I get this question specifically a lot because Nwaneri and Lewis-Skelly are obviously from the same intake. They've kind of arrived on the scene at the same time. Everyone kind of hypes them up as the two biggest prospects at Hale End in a long time. They're always with the same England under 17 team or England under 16 team. Everybody kind of groups these two together, and I understand why that question happens a lot. But I think it's key to remember that we don't want these two to necessarily be in a competition against each other from the media standpoint, because that's going to happen no matter what happens. The kids are only 16 and 17 years old. There's just no way of really knowing the answer to a question like this. They have their entire careers ahead of them, and God willing, they're going to both play for Arsenal for a very long time. Let's just kind of appreciate how good they are and how enjoyable they are to watch. And before the media jumps on this question, because it will be a huge topic of consideration over the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years potentially, considering how good these two players are, you don't want the fans to be pitting them against each other. Having said that, I will answer the question in the way that I will talk about what their strengths are. What do their next steps look like, and what makes them such unique profiles and why they have all this hype around them. And then that gives you guys the opportunity to kind of figure out who you think is quote unquote more talented or who has a brighter future. Let's start with Ethan because he was the one who actually has a senior debut. I think he got a lot more hype about him first. Here's what we know about him. He is an incredible attacking profile. He can play anywhere across the front line or as an advanced 8. His left foot is an absolute wand, providing perfect weight and precision with each pass that leaves his boot. His decision-making is incisive, creative, and deadly. He has incredible instinct to know where his teammates are and where the gaps in space are for himself and his peers to exploit. Ethan's passing range is unlimited. One touch, two touch, off dead balls, from half spaces, in tight spaces, it doesn't matter. There isn't a pass he doesn't believe he can make, and he's right about that like 99% of the time. And then, of course, there's his ball striking. With both feet, Nwaneri can strike through the ball with extreme power and precision. Or he can choose to curl the ball around defenders and around goalkeepers. This is a trait that is much harder to teach than you would think. To have ball striking capabilities like his at this age is truly, truly unbelievable. Ethan also has the physical traits that make a star. He's tall, but not lanky. He has a compact build, allowing him to dominate offensive duels centrally and not easily be pushed off of the ball. This is a key facet for a creative profile who can most succeed as an interior. You can't just have the technical skills to turn out of tight spaces and burst through midfield, but you must be able to keep hold of the ball and throw shoulders around when necessary. These are the talents of Ethan Nwaneri, and I will let you as a listener decide what the ceiling is for somebody with that set of skills. To go over it again, it's the creative passing, the wide range of passing without any specific bias to one side. It's the ball striking that is truly unteachable. And of course, it's the fact that even at 16, he's one of the strongest players on the pitch, playing with players far above his age group and sometimes in senior football. To me, it's the most complete attacking 8 profile since David Silva. But what's most important moving forward for Ethan is his belief in himself. It needs to continue to grow, but also steady him as a player as he begins to reach this next level of stardom. It's not going to be long before he's introduced full-time to the first team. And by not long, I don't mean it's going to be in 2 weeks, it's going to be in a month. But you can expect to see him in preseason with Arsenal next year and to go from there. There is just clearly too much talent with Ethan Nwaneri to be ignored, and he's the type of player, like a Bukayo Saka, who completely skips the loan level of development and goes right to the first team. And now Myles Lewis-Skelly. His talents are actually far more surprising for his age and much more unique. And that's not to take anything away from how ridiculously good Ethan Nwaneri is. But the way that Lewis-Skelly uses his frame to enhance his technical skill is just so unusual for a player who's only 17. And by the way, he's been doing this since he's 15. Myles bounces off every challenge that comes his way. He spins out of tight spaces, uses his immense running power to shake off defenders, and he has the ability to scan and drop the shoulder in midfield when he feels pressure rising. His legs are springy and agile, allowing him to shield the ball and burst into open space. And then, of course, there's his ridiculous passing profile, which is that of a deep line playmaker who's happy to play vertically when the opportunity presents itself, but knows how to spread the ball to his outlets with little bias. Lewis-Skelly can and will dictate the tempo of the match, depending on how he sees fit. That's the kind of mental profile he brings to the midfield. At times, it's calm and patient build-up, picking up pockets of space where he can control the play. At other times, it's raucous, gung-ho, beast mode, physical spurts where Myles takes out the entire opposition with one action, whether that be a run or a pass, and sets his team up for a clear scoring chance. Lewis-Skelly has such a versatile skill set that it still remains to be seen whether he's an 8 or a 6, but mostly because he's so deadly from both zones. Trust me, this is a very, very good problem to have. The more he can play as a 6 in the academy, the better for his future, teaching him control and responsibility, teaching him the importance of pausa, and developing him into the type of midfielder that changes the way a team can play. And now I say all of this about Myles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri because the two are such incredibly different profiles, but share so many of the same traits that pretty much guarantee success at the senior game. It's being a three-headed monster, something we've talked about before. It's the mentality, it's the physicality, and then of course it's the trademark of Hale End players, and that's the supreme technique. The real beauty of this is how different the two players are and how well they suit each other when played together. Yes, you might think two left-footed midfielders, an issue Arsenal already have, but Nwaneri has no problem using both feet, and neither player is specifically biased to the passing angles that you often see left-footers struggle with. I think this is why I struggle to answer this question so much, and it's not because I don't know the answer, it's because I don't want to know the answer. These two players are so talented, and I just hope we get the chance to see them play together for Arsenal, because getting to see them play together for England's youth setups and Arsenal's youth setup is always a pleasure. So I hope that answered kind of what you were looking for and gave you a better scope of what it looks like for Nwaneri and Myles Skelly in the future. But I think the two of them are likely the kind of players that skip the loan stage and should be involved in Arsenal's preseason next year.